And let's just jump right into it.
Okay, so yeah, my name is Shawn, and so far right now it's like the tentative name because I'm still like working out like how it's gonna function, but it's called Meet Us Outside the Classroom, and so essentially like it aims to take things that are done or taught and gone over in the classrooms and apply to real world situations. So instead of just always just learning in the classroom and kind of like leaving it there, it's time to actually apply the things we learn into everyday life, essentially.
Got it. And do you feel like how did this sort of idea come about? Like, what was the inspiration for it?
I would definitely say in my senior year of college, I took one of my senior seminars was about like humanitarianism and how like whether we explored whether books would be able to change like or shape real world politics and especially like fiction books, like not just nonfiction that's about history and things like that, but how about like fictional stories like kind of that are based around real events, how that can shape humanitarian work. And so it got me thinking just about how books can um, be applied to the real world or how they can affect the way that we make decisions and how reading in itself is political in the sense that what you read and how that's applied can like have an effect.
Yeah, definitely. Like having an idea of like what's allowed and what's not allowed in that
Yes.
sense. Yeah, it's can definitely be a touchy subject for a lot of different people. Kind
Hmm.
of going off of like the intricacies of the politics with whether it be reading or writing. What did you find is the most challenging aspect about this work, putting it all together?
Um, Honestly, about maybe like the platform and how I want to go about doing it because at the moment, like I just graduated from undergrad, so I got my bachelor's. And so I'm thinking like, I'll just take the things that I learned and kind of put them onto a platform and share it that way. But I don't really want it to come off more like as teaching. I kind of want it to be a community where we're all learning together. So, because I feel like I'm not at that level yet to really be like telling this is exactly what the theoretical text is about. Like I'm still learning as I'm going, and so I feel like I wanted it more to be like a platform we all kind of or like people engage with one another to dissect what certain things mean, and in that way people will be able to like strengthen like their critical thinking skills and discernment and stuff like that. So I felt like it should I wanted something more to be a group effort, so I think that's the challenge, trying to figure out the way in which I want to shape this and then put it out to the world in more of an engaging manner.
Okay, so like more of a collaborative experience then.
Yeah, more collaborative than me just like, oh, this is what I learned in here, or more just like, oh, what did you guys think, kind of thing.
Got it, got it. And you mentioned that you recently just finished your undergraduate.
Yes,
Congratulations.
thank you.
What university did you go to?
Queens College.
Queens College. Very good.
Yeah, CUNY.
Now, a question, because this is something that sometimes I'll think about. Like, so you just graduated. If you could go
Hmm.
back in time to like your freshman year, what's something that you would tell your freshman self?
Um, Honestly, to go where, well, definitely to try out different things. I feel like that was definitely essential. Because originally I started out very different. I went into Queens College as a neuroscience major and thinking I was going to do STEM and everything because that had interested me, like thinking about the brain and how that affects us. I think I've always had like a common thread of noticing how things are connected and how one thing affects the other. So I did really enjoy that, but I definitely would give myself the advice to explore, but like to go towards what I know is calling me. Like I've always just loved reading and writing, but I was like, you know what, like, that's path or just apply my interest in reading and writing to something else. But I just figured why not take my passion and just expand on that as much as possible.
Mm,
So that's when I ended up switching to English.
mm.
Ended up getting my degree in English. So I think I'll just tell myself like, oh, was right instead of just where it seems practical in a sense.
Gotcha, gotcha. So you've definitely experienced a lot, gone through college, graduated. Now you've got a
Mhm.
lot of knowledge that you've built up over the years, but you're still very eager to learn. Um, how would you say like the so because your sister Jamila has talked about how you can write these incredible works, how and like with each writing the mood and the tone will change depending on what your angle is or what you want to say. What would you say
Mhm.
is the tone or mood of this piece in particular?
Um, the tone is very, how would I? Open and like welcoming or inviting. Like I want it to be not like no type of like no judgment to anyone who's like sort of maybe not always been a reader. Like I don't feel like people need to always have been a reader to engage and start to learn how to better engage with like reading and to pick up on certain things. So I definitely want to more of the tone needs to be like everyone's welcome to come into it no matter what educational level you're at. I feel like you can be able to engage higher. So I feel like I want the tone to be very welcoming and definitely very like of course like later on in certain texts or reading certain things like the grammar or the wording the diction might get more like elevated in certain ways, but I do want it to be very accessible so you don't always have to feel like you like it's too high above like someone's like knowledge expertise, if that makes sense. Like I want them to be able to engage regardless or feel comfortable enough to start learning or to just come in as they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Gotcha, gotcha. Making it more approachable, like for just anyone who's
definitely.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So you've got this body of work done. What are your hopes? What do you hope for the impact to be like? What have you seen it be, and then what did you hope it to be? Are they the same? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so far I haven't like officially like, put it out there because it's still like I'm trying to figure out the platform.
Mm,
I've been playing around with like because I've learned of different platforms to put certain like different mediums up onto like Substack and actually there's a website called Medium that I'm like testing out. So I'm not sure like how the reception. I haven't gotten to the reception part, but I've definitely been inspired by a lot of other people kind of doing the similar work that I want to do and seeing like how they're going about it, and I could see that there is like a space for that,
mm,
especially nowadays with especially like everything going on, that a lot of people are starting to engage more with reading and learning about things in depth before coming to a conclusion on their own. So I hope for it to be received in the way that I'm seeing other people that have inspired me it's being received. Like people are saying like, okay, I need to get more into this. Like for example, someone that I follow on TikTok, her name is Kelsey. She does like she's working to get people more engaged with print media. So she's reading the New York Times
mm,
on TikTok, and people are like, "Oh, like I really do want to get back into reading," and they're seeing how insignificant and important it is to know about what's going on around you, and to definitely read past like page one. Like you should really do your research and to really care about things in depth. So that's how definitely I hope it to be perceived in that way.
yeah, that's an interesting point that you bring up about the idea of getting back into reading. So something that I
Mhm.
was not aware of at all that I recently came to my attention was that there are there's like a group of or not a group. There's like children in high school who never learned how to read because they could use all different kinds of technology to record their
Mhm.
voices, and so like how they text each other is they just record it on their phone and they send it that way.
Mhm.
And that had never crossed my mind at all that that would be something that would develop. And I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
absolutely, we need to get back into reading.
Yeah. A lot of people I feel like when they got into I feel like it's good to be into different mediums in terms of like audiobooks if that's easier for you or something like that. But I think it is very important at least just to be able to navigate the world around you and to be able to have that discernment of like reading something and being able to know what it's saying and what it says about you or whatever it's about, like having that discernment. So I think that's important, like getting back into reading or just having that, like I feel like people should definitely have that desire to at least want to be able to understand what's going on around them. And I feel like there's no shame in like being like, you know what, I that's something I need to work on, like, especially like maybe media literacy. I feel like a lot of people have that to work on, especially like with social media, and
Mm.
you get so many like opinions at you every day where it's like, how do I discern between what's actually my opinion, what do I think, and versus what I'm just constantly consuming. And I feel like there's no shame in judgment and being like, you know, I just have to adapt to how fast things are moving. And I think that's okay, like coming from a space of being like humble about it. Like it's fine, like I'm gonna work on it, and I think that's good.
Yeah, no, I can definitely understand that because you don't want to be a mouthpiece for someone else's knowledge. You want to be able to develop your own ideas, and that can be a slippery slope because I mean maybe they're right away, like they're automatically correct, and like I would say for
Mm-hmm.
example, Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's probably gonna be right, but and
Mm-hmm.
so like if he says something about science and I don't know exactly what it is, but it sounds accurate, I was like okay that's probably true.
Right.
But like as you get older, I think just people get a little bit more confident in themselves, and they get a little bit more confident in doing their research. So I feel like
Exactly.
maybe over time people develop their voice, but like maybe at a younger age,
Mm-hmm.
it's harder to find.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Now I've not had the privilege of reading the work, but I do want you to kind of just walk us through like how is this body written? Like, are there characters? Is it more of a little bit more ambiguous? Like, walk us through this.
So the way it's gonna be structured is more so, and that's what I mean about, I think I shifted kind of the platform and shifted the way I'm going to do it from when I initially proposed it, in the sense that it's going to be um, kind of the idea of maybe like a stream of consciousness, where I'm going to post like things that, like, I'm going to read certain books. Like, for example, I just read Babel by R.F. Kuang. It's
Mm.
a really amazing book about like colonialism and oppression, and like the academic institution and how that all just intersects. And I think I would just post my thoughts about this and about the grand scheme of things, or the bigger picture of it all, and see how other people engage with that. Or like someone else that I'm inspired by post like recommendations of long form essays, like from the New York Times and from the New Yorker and the Atlantic. So it's going to be something more along the lines of, it'll eventually be like coalesced into this big like body of work, like over time as a like, but it'll be condensed of full of the community's work. So mine as well as my thoughts, but it'll be other thoughts as well, and more of an engagement. So less about like, it'll, not that in a sense it'll censor my voice, like in the sense that because I'll be posting and people will be responding, but it won't just be my voice as like the the only one that's like it's my body of work, but it feels like more the community's body of work, if that makes sense. Because I want it to be as engaging and as community focused as possible. Because I feel like that's really what's going to help the most in terms of getting people engaged in reading, is making it like a community effort, rather than like, or it used to be like, you know, just move the kids along through the grades, where it's like,
Right.
you know, no kid left behind kind of thing. But it's like, no, like, let's make this more community focused, so you understand that you have a support system that really wants you to be able to, you know, expand upon yourself kind of thing.
Right.
So it's definitely going to be just kind of um stream of consciousness, definitely like you know, edited down and everything. Like it's going to have like some structure to it, but I definitely want it to be more free range and open.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm down for that. Um, so you mentioned the book Babel, and I'm guessing that that was like a source of how do I say, source of inspiration whenever you were writing this. Is that fair to say?
Wait, sorry. Wait. Can you still see me?
It looks like your camera is off right now.
Okay, wait. Technical difficulty.
It's
It
okay.
was just, it's like freezing.
Okay, I can see you now.
Is it? Okay. For some reason, I can't. Well, if you can see me, I can't see myself. You can hear me. That's
Right,
fine.
right, right.
Okay. So sorry, can you repeat the question because it keeps cutting
Yeah,
out?
yeah, no worries. So let's just kind of talking about like how you were inspired by this. You mentioned the book Babel. I'm guessing that that was a source of
Right.
information, and like, so what else in addition to that, like what inspired you to put together this sort of collection of voices, this overall idea that you want to put together? Like, just was it the idea of making it for the community that inspired you, or was it something that you had personally experienced that was the driving force?
Mhm. I definitely think what inspired me was starting to read more, like sort of social science kind of books, and then definitely my experience, other things that I was reading in college. So like being exposed to different writers, like reading more of like Toni Morrison and going from there and getting more engaged with Angela Davis. And then it kind of just like spiraled from there about getting more or just learning more about the things that were directly affecting me and seeing how they were connected to other things and seeing I think the seeing how connected everything was, especially in college, in terms of everything that I was learning, even from different subjects, like what I was learning in an English class and how that affected um, or how that was connected to things I was learning in my urban studies class, definitely inspired me to take more of a deep dive into learning how things were affected by one another. And that's when I realized how much knowing as much as possible, as much as you can about what's going on around you is very helpful because you're able to see how one thing impacts the other. You're able to see that nothing is like standing alone by itself, like everything is connected to one another. So I think that's definitely what inspired me, like starting to read certain books and seeing how, oh wow, like this idea, this notion leads into the next, which leads into the next. And yeah, I think that's definitely the most.
That's awesome. I love the connectivity of it all. Everything just kind of builds on each other and is a part of everything else.
Yeah.
Um, I've got two more questions for you. What surprised you the most about it? You mentioned like changing the platform. Was that a surprise that you experienced, or was that something that was like more of a gradual development? Okay, this might be how it turns out.
Um, Definitely gradual. I wasn't always like I had the notion that I would put it on some kind of website, or maybe like a Tumblr, like so like old, not that old, but it's older, so maybe like a Tumblr. But I was like, okay, let me just see. It just kind of came to me naturally as I started to like engage more with the community that and started to get like more of the that content that I was seeking to make. That's when it started gradually. I started to learn, oh, there's other platforms, there's other ways for me to do this. So it wasn't too much of a surprise because I figured like something better or not so much better, but something different and something more aligned with the work I wanted to do would come along. I just was like, okay, that's cool. Like I'll just transition. Like it wasn't like too difficult to just be like, okay, so I'll just try it this way instead. Because I definitely wanted to be like it was definitely like a work in progress and I don't mind like, shifting gears if that's what's better.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So my last question is for you, and you don't have to share this if you don't want to, because every artist like has their different opinion about it. But like
Mhm.
with your writing process, um, how do you go about like how? Let's say you start your morning. You know, you have your coffee, you have your breakfast, or
Mhm.
if you drink tea, you have your tea. Um,
Mhm.
like how do you start? How do you start writing? Like, do you just dive into it, or like, what's your process?
Yeah, so I feel like it used to be like this huge like I would feel like I need to be in the perfect like headspace, like I need to set the mood, like make it all perfect for me to like get the ideas flowing. But I think now they kind of come to me like randomly or as I'm like watching something like it might not have anything to do with like what the work I'm doing is, but I'll have a thought about it and then it'll lead to something bigger. And that's how also to tie in like how I realized how many things were connected. Cause I would have like it'll be like watching reality TV and all of a sudden like I'm just like, Like I feel like there's more going on, like not always to make something so deep, but I just have these thoughts like, oh, like okay, this connects to this. So I think I would start to kind of have all these thoughts, and then I'll just write them down in my notes, and then it'll just suddenly become like this long thing. That's why I mean like the stream of consciousness, because it would just come to me like at certain times, like when I'm not even thinking about writing about anything. And that's when I realize my brain is kind of always writing, essentially. Like I don't need to set the time. My brain is already doing it for me. I just need to document. I just need to like put it in my notes real quick. It doesn't have to be like as written out or as perfect. It just needs to be out of my mind, and then I'll just share it.